guys, it's Griffin and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am starting out a new series on my channel. It's a confessional series, so basically I have an email where you guys can send me any confessions. You can send them to the email right here and I will also have that down below. But this is my first set of confessions that I've received, so let's get started. Okay. The beginning of the email says, "This is the only time I'm ever addressing this because I'm way too scared to tell my parents." So this sounds interesting already. I'll just read this as is. I may or may not have stolen about $300 worth of antique comic books. I mean, it wasn't my fault at all, I guess. It was just laying there around my grandparents' house and I asked around, my grandma, if I could have it, and she was like, "Sure, whatever, hun." So naturally I took them because they looked really cool. Then after a few days, this shop called our telephone and I answered because grandma left for Jerusalem for a Holy Land trip and they asked where the comic books were. And I was like, "What? What do you mean, fam?" And they were just like, "The one we lent you. I know y'all can say, nah, you can just give it back, right?" Nuh-uh. OMG, I'd already sold them online and shipped them away because I needed the cha-chings, you know? And I just hung up on the spot. Amen, God bless, they didn't call back. But the sad thing is I never knew the actual price of those comic books and I together sold them for like $45 and it turns out they cost $300 each. That's just like depressing. I find it so funny that you had already sold them online. Like there was no way that they were even gonna get them back because they were already gone. Like, bye. I feel like that's also like something out of a movie. Like someone like sells something that they're not supposed to and then they have to go chase it down and get it back. You know what I mean? So you didn't have to chase it down. They didn't call back. You're lucky. This one is super short. Sweet and simple. One time I was super sick and I was laying on the couch in my living room with my family and some friends. I ended up falling asleep and I shit my pants in my sleep on the couch and it was horrible. Everyone woke me up and my sister had to bathe me. Okay, this one sounds interesting just by the title. Embarrassing period story. Period stories are the worst, guys. So when I was in 7th grade, you know, just starting my period, not knowing what kind of pads to use and how many, I was sitting in history class. I knew that it was that time to change my pad, so I asked to go to the bathroom and I walked up in front of the entire class and went to the bathroom. So I went, changed, and looked in the mirror only to see I bled through. I started to panic, so I took my low-hanging purse and put it over the stain. When I got back, my face was beet red. The next day, one of the girls in the class told me that everyone saw it and they started to laugh at me. I was so embarrassed and I didn't want to go back to school, but I got over it and I've doubled up ever since. Doubling up, very smart to do, especially if you have a heavy flow. Me, someone who has one, it sucks. That kind of sucks that they all saw. I actually have kind of a similar experience that happened to me where it was picture day at my new school that I had just joined and I got my period. I was wearing white shorts and they bled through and I had to call my dad, who I was embarrassed to tell at the time that I had my period, but I had to call him and ask him to bring me a change of clothes and like new underwear, pants, and everything, and like a tampon. It was so embarrassing. That, by the way, was junior year of high school. So like this will continue to happen. I'm sorry, but it will. Okay, this one is about the story of how this person made their 4th grade teacher faint. Hello, Griffin. So I thought I would tell you the story of when me and a couple of my classmates made my teacher faint in 4th grade. She was allergic to correcting fluid and we weren't allowed to use it in class, but guess what? I used it behind her back, not really thinking much about it since she had never said anything, and she did let us use it for some small mistakes. Until one day, being the clumsy person I am, was fooling around with a couple of friends and we spilled the bottle and it literally went everywhere. As you may guess, she noticed that I was using it at that time, so she went out to the classroom door to cool down a bit. Then, all the class preoccupied and me feeling so guilty, we heard a thump outside the door and she was laying on the floor. She did recover after a few seconds and she felt alright, but it still made me so scared. Everyone freaked out and she still doesn't talk to me this day. That's like something I feel like straight out of a magazine. I was inspired by a magazine to start this, like a magazine confessional section, and I feel like that was straight out of one. Also, I would feel so guilty. Was everyone like blaming you? Like, I don't, Alright, this is really weird. So when I was like 5 or 6, my parents got me and my sister 2 cats, one a female and one a male. One night, the male cat was in my room and I saw his privates. I went to my mom's room and asked her why my cat had a skin-colored crayon attached to it. Ooh, this one's creepy. Okay, this says, "Hi Griffin, I'm Jenna. Just wanted to let you know, we moved out of the house and after we did that, someone found a person dead in the home with the name Ella. Scary, right? Anyway, on with the story. First, I just want to say I love your videos. You're amazing at doing makeup. I don't really wear that much makeup, but once I do, I watch your videos for ideas." Thank you so much. You're so sweet. This little first section is so sweet. So I was about 11 in the story. My parents just got divorced and my mom was going to see me for a couple of weeks. My mom and I just moved into this house that wasn't very old, about 5 years. So my mom was showing me my room and all of a sudden I got very cold. And before, a lot of people think it's probably just the weather. I live in Arizona and it doesn't get very cold. Honey, I know, it's like 120 degrees every single day in Arizona. It sucks. I started shaking and my mom was just fine, but she was in the hallway. I walked further in and all of a sudden my phone flew out of my hand. I didn't know what was happening and freaked out, but then my mom came into my room. She looked different and it was like she had a different face on. She came closer to me and said, "Don't talk to Ella," which kind of scared me because her voice sounded a bit higher than it should. But then she just fell down and was knocked out for a minute or two. I started freaking out and ran to my phone to call someone, and I saw I got a text from my best friend named Ella. When my mom said Ella, I didn't think about it because I was terrified of what was going on. The text read, "I see you." With that, I passed out from being terrified and woke up with my dad driving me away to his house. I honestly have no idea what happened at all. I did research, talked to people, asked a priest about it, nobody knew what it was, but now me and my mom never talk about it. Anyways, that's my ghost story. Sorry I suck at telling stories. That sounds terrifying. I cannot imagine finding a dead body in my house. Period story number 2. So I got my first period a few days before I started the 7th grade. Did everyone get theirs in the 7th grade? I literally got mine freshman year of high school. I got mine really late. I was very inexperienced. I didn't know much about periods. So off I went into the first day of school wearing light wash jeans and a very thin pad. I had made it through about 2 of my classes without checking my pad and didn't seem to notice anything. I got up to go to pre-algebra and the teacher had an activity that involved us walking up to the chalkboard, my luck, I know, and sticking a sticky note on it. I got up and when I got back to my seat, I noticed a red smear on it, but I just assumed it wasn't what I was dreading. So I continued throughout my day. That is your first mistake. How do you continue on after you see a red smear on your seat? I go to my next class and we went to lunch right away. As we were walking down the hallway, the girl behind me said, "I have something really embarrassing to tell you." And I knew right away exactly what she was talking about. I got into the lunchroom and didn't want to tell my friends, so when they weren't paying attention, I made a run to the dean who lets you go to the bathroom. I told her my situation and she asked if I wanted someone to walk behind me on the way to the nurse. I knew that would be even more awkward, so I just bolted before anyone could notice. The nurse had to call my mom and my mom brought me a pair of black jeans. Do you know how different black is from light wash? Anyways, by the time I arrived back to my class, everyone else was already in the classroom. I walked in praying no one would notice my sudden wardrobe change, and then I realized the teacher had moved everyone into new seats and I had no idea where my backpack had moved. As I shuffled around the classroom looking for my things, the teacher noticed my late arrival and took me outside the classroom. She asked me what happened. I explained my situation and she said, "Was it an embarrassing moment?" And the answer to that was yes. Yes, it was. I remember when my dad brought me jeans, like, you need to have like a very similar pair of jeans if you're gonna change into something if like your period went through, because people will notice. I was wearing white shorts like I said, and my dad brought me these like blue boyfriend jeans that were like very different, and I think people noticed. When I was around the age of 3 or 4, I loved to snoop around my parents' bathroom. I'd go through everything from makeup to razors and everything else. One day, I discovered a stash of toys hidden in the cabinet and ripped open a packet. I'd stretch a toy and wear it as a sock. I remember playing with the contents for hours and flushing it down the toilet when I was done to avoid getting caught. Then I grew up and realized my favorite childhood toy was a condom. Oh my god, that's like, this is very, very different. However, when I was younger, I used to sneak into my parents' closet and steal my dad's like fish oil supplements, and I would like bite into them because I felt the fish oil pop in my mouth, and that's so disgusting, but I used to like it. This person's embarrassing thing is, so I have a dog, his name is Milo, and sometimes when I feed him, he's not hungry, so I put around the house in little trails and then he eats it. That's just cute. I tell people this story every single time we're sharing something embarrassing in a new place. So a few years ago, my whole grade went to Washington, D.C. We had been on these buses for hours and hours. Once we got there, ate breakfast, and started walking around, I had noticed there were people in tents. Me, the stupidest person ever, and my mom were walking around, and I blurted my question loudly. "Hey, Mom, why are those people camping? Is there a concert I don't know about?" I said this literally not processing anything through my mind. My mom smacked my arm and told me to be quiet. "They're homeless. Now shut up. That's rude." I actually got so red and I apologized the entire day. I will never forget how embarrassed I felt at a school field trip. That is actually so awkward. There was this one kid when my class did trips every year, and there was this one kid when we went to Europe. It was terrible. The penny is literally not worth anything in Europe, and he would go around to homeless people in Europe and give them pennies. That is terrible. Like, that is actually, like, that's not gonna get them anything. That's just sad. This one has a video and picture attachment. For my 14th birthday, my family put a picture of the guy they thought I had a crush on my birthday cake. They'd been saying he was my boyfriend, liked him for probably 5 months straight, and then they went far enough to put his face on my birthday cake. The thing is, I didn't even like him though. They even took a video of me reacting to it, and here it is. That's so awkward. What if her parents, instead of like just actually having her birthday at her house, they were just like, "We're gonna bring the cake into school," and then they brought in the cake and it had the crush's picture. That would be even better. This 4th of July, I flew to LA to be with one of my friends I have over there before I moved away. So her dad went out and bought fireworks. Her dad fell asleep that night, so he said we could start lighting them. So we went outside and popped them all. After we were done, we went inside to get ready for bed, and it was pretty late. I walked in the living room to get my backpack, and when I grabbed it, there was one firework that had fallen out of the bag of fireworks. My friends didn't want to go back outside, so her brilliant idea was to light it inside of a bowl on the floor. It was only a little firework, but little do we know that little fireworks would end up setting the whole couch on fire. Oh my god, that is like a me thing to do. Like, I'd be like, it's a little firework. We can put it in a bowl. It'll be great. Alright, you guys. So that is it for my first confessional video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out all of my social medias. I will have them linked down below. I'm constantly posting new pictures on Instagram. I'm tweeting new stuff all the time, and I'm always posting on Snapchat. So make sure to follow me and add me on there, and send me your confessions. Like I said, I will have the email down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you later. Bye. But I'm weak, and what's wrong?